Welcome to the Wisconsin Music Podcast.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Wisconsin Music Podcast. I am your host, Zach Fell. And today we have a very special treat for you. Joining us is Ruby James, Door County's rock and roll sweetheart, as she has been called. Formerly a Wifee in the Huzz Band, Ruby is not just another musician. She's a born entertainer, a true rock star who brings electric energy to every performance. Just recently, in past April, she took the stage at the Tambourine Lounge in Sturgeon Bay with her brand new band, and shows were nothing short of spectacular. Her career is a varied of impressiveness. Her music ranges from poetic and heartfelt to boot-stomping rock and roll. She's collaborated with such legends as Will and Charlie Sexton, Renee Reyes, Kate Vargas, and Eric McFadden. She's also part of the supergroup Sheila, alongside James Hall. Ruby's collaborations span across different genres, notable musicians including Mitch Marine, Dwight Yoakam, Mike Bolger of Beck, Earl Slick of David Bowie, and John Lennon fame. So Ruby, welcome to the Wisconsin Music Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So hopefully I did you justice with that intro.
Somebody did, right?
I guess. But you've had a dynamic career, from performing in Los Angeles to collaborating with legendary artists. What initially sparked your passion for music?
Well, I was singing before I can even remember, according to the legend that has it. I came out singing, and when I was a little girl and a little ham, and I don't even remember those days. And then at 5 years old, my mom spent the last of her divorce money from my father on a baby grand piano for me. So,
wow,
you know, every child should be so lucky. I don't think my dad was probably real impressed with that, but at that point he didn't have a say. So that's kind of my joke. It's like, well, thanks, Mom. I just started playing the piano again after not playing it for over 2 decades.
Yeah.
And but it was piano. And in high school, I was not really like with the thespians or anything. I didn't do a lot of acting or things like that. But a girlfriend of mine and we would get together and we would sing songs and work out like little duets and stuff. And I'm trying to think, that was like, the very beginning. And then when I went off to college, I went to Boston University and joined a singing group, an a cappella group that taught me really how to perform in front of people. I was very terrified to perform in front of big audiences. And in Boston, that was like a really big thing, a cappella groups. And so we would perform to like 1,000 people. And, when I auditioned, I turned with my back to the group and they said, well, we really want you in the group. But, when we perform to large crowds and you're going to have to face the audience. So that was fun. And so that taught me how to be on a stage in front of a lot of people. And then I dropped out of college with a very weird, I have some witchy ways about me. Stevie Nicks was definitely one of my biggest influences growing up. And I always call them my witchy knowings. Anyways, I just kind of had this knowing in my second year of college that even though I really hadn't written original music yet, I needed to drop out of school and convince my dad to let me take a year off and start learning how to play the guitar, because that was going to be the vehicle to get the songs out. So I did. And I found a guitar teacher who was an incredible musician named Carlos Calvo, who's a dear friend. And he became my first writing partner. And he was my teacher. He's taught like Adam Levine from Maroon 5. He was kind of like LA's guitar teacher to the stars. And so I was playing gigs with him at a pretty prestigious acoustic venue called Genghis Cohen. I think I had my first gig when I was 26 months after I started playing guitar. And we kind of did this weird way. He taught me how to play, and I was learning how to play guitar and writing my first songs at the same time. So I was learning guitar through my own original songs I was writing. It was interesting. So that was like the very beginning.
One of the things that I've read about you is that you describe yourself as not just another girl strumming an acoustic guitar, but as a whole experience. Can you elaborate on what sets your performance apart?
Yeah, I just think that Well, first of all, like during all my touring years, I never toured just me and an acoustic guitar because I always really like to rock. So always love to have a great guitar player playing electric next to me on acoustic gigs. And I just always I like rock and roll. I like to rock. I mean, I do like really gravitate to writing sad songs as well. And I love the sad ones that make everybody want to cry. But yeah, I just always I feel like a more of a performer and an entertainer, I guess, than an acoustic singer songwriter.
Gotcha.
All the lines are down, but there's nothing to say. Let them figure it out. They probably wouldn't anyway. I'm in the same place that I've been. What's a few more days? Running from nothing. It's a simple mistake. Is everything good goes away? And I'm playing out, but I'm raising stakes. They're shooting me down, but they got nothing on me. It's wearing me out. Why can't they just let me be? You know that I know what they know. It's a game that we play, but I'm always running, and I'm wasting away. Because everything good goes away. And I'm playing out, but I'm raising the stakes. My luck has run you out, but I couldn't make you stay. 'Cause everything good goes away. They're shooting me down, but they got nothing on me.
So who would be like your influences in that genre?
I don't know exactly what my genre is. I always say kind of rootsy, bluesy, rock and roll, but there's a lot of soul undertones, especially since it's Wifee in the Huzz Band. It was a play on words with my ex. We were never married, but we had a kind of I don't know, I'm going to call us a Wisconsin supergroup with a short but fast and furious run from like 2000 and I don't know, 2013 to 19.
Okay.
But we were together as a couple and from 2012 to 2015. So we were only together for 3 years, but we did do pretty great things in that short amount of time. I'm influenced by so many things. Early years, it was like Stevie Nicks, Sheryl Crow, and Bonnie Raitt. That's kind of a pretty good variety of
Yeah.
women. And then, like my mom was definitely raised me when I was in the womb playing Fleetwood Mac and things like that. So that was that. And then when I was 14, my mom told me if I could close my eyes and wave a magic wand and be anything I wanted in this life, what would I be? And I said Bonnie Raitt. And then Sheryl Crow, when she first, her first 2 albums were very rock and roll. And that was the first female that really made me want to play guitar and rock out. I still want that sparkly silver sparkle jet. That's my dream guitar.
Gotcha.
And then as it went on, like lots of different influences, I think Gwen Stefani when I was in my 20s, like loved Gwen Stefani. And then there was a whole era of wanting to be the Rolling Stones and the Black Crowes and U2. And then I got into a lot more soul music and, Aretha, Etta James, Irma Thomas, things like that later. So, I mean, it kind of run the gamut of influences. Tina Turner. I definitely gravitate towards like legends that are rock stars and, own a stage.
Yeah, very strong front women.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. What inspired you to transition from Wifee and the Huzz Band into your solo career?
So I always had a solo career originally. That was always me. And then I met these guys. So I grew up in Los Angeles, and then I met these 2 guys. And we formed my first band. So my first band was Ruby James, and then I kept the name after we broke up. But we moved to Orlando. We moved to Orlando, Florida, in my 20s, and we had a great run, for 20-year-olds, and got our first residency. And we were playing the House of Blues and Hard Rock Live when I was like 24 years old, and opening for Fastball. So I'm dating myself here probably in age, but we played a lot of cool stuff. We played a lot of big shows. We were sponsored by Budweiser. We were playing huge events. We opened for War one time through this radio station, that old band. And that was fun because there were like, I don't know, thousands and thousands of people there. So for a young 20-year-old gal, that was a great beginning.
Yeah.
And then I moved back to LA. I was always kind of running away from LA as much as I could. Then we tried to move back to Los Angeles, and the band broke up. And then I kept the name. And then I really started, like in the beginning, like in the days of MySpace, I was starting my solo career, and I did really well on MySpace. I had like 100,000 followers. And at one point when I was touring, not that it's a lot, but as an independent artist, we were pulling in probably $100 a day. So that was funding touring and things like that. And I guess that's when I started making my first albums. So I made a record with Will and Charlie Sexton, and that was kind of when I really blossomed, I think, the most as an artist, was when I was living in Austin, Texas. I lived in Austin from 2006 to 2013 on and off. Okay. And I was at the very tail end of Keep Austin Weird, which was amazing. Because now it's so different. It's like Disneyland for big kids, which is fun, but it wasn't like that. I had lived in this little cottage with chickens running around in the yard, and very different from LA.
Yeah.
And growing up in LA, honestly, everywhere I've lived, because I've lived a million different places, everywhere felt like a small town because Los Angeles is so huge.
Yeah.
So when I lived in Austin, the music community is really small and very supportive. And so I was, privileged enough to make a record with Will and Charlie, 2 really very talented people. But that project started in 2006, and it didn't get finished until like 2009 or 10. So in the meantime, I had started touring. I had this manager out of South Carolina, and then my boyfriend and guitar player, Renee Reyes, who is an incredible musician. We started touring all over. A lot between 2007 and 8, I want to say 9, somewhere in there. And I don't know, in 2 years, we put like 100,000 miles on my car. And we made an album with John Avila, who was the bass player for Oingo Boingo, incredible musician. That's when I got to work with Mitch Marine, who played drums on that record. And he plays with Dwight Yoakam still. Mike Bolger was with Beck. There's a guy, Billy Malpede on keys, and try to think who I'm forgetting right now. But that was a great record called Desert Rose. And we had a lot of really good success with that. We had a sold out CD release show at the Troubadour in 2008.
Nice.
And we also had a huge, my old music business. We had a huge movie placement in the Meg Ryan remake of a classic called The Women. And so, you know, that at that time it felt like the world was on fire for me. But 2008, as you might know, or maybe not know, but that's when the music industry also crashed.
Yes.
So I came out at the perfect time. Like everything I had going on, if I would have come out like 2 years before that, I probably would have been a star. But with the big sold out CD release show at the Troubadour, the big movie placement, all the things, and boom, just sort of like dead. But anyways, you just keep going and you keep making music. And that placement was huge. Like, I don't know if I should even say money amounts, but let's just say it was a lot of money. And that helped keeping things going on the road and playing for a while. And compared to like a movie placement I had recently with Sheila, I wish I could do math really quick. It was like exponentially like jaw-dropping difference of what kind of money is generated in the old world of the music business. So
right.
And then my Will and Charlie album that started in 2006, that got revisited and finally finished and sort of put out into the world in 2010. But that didn't really have any follow through. There was no label. My dad got cancer. I kind of dropped out of life to go home and take care of him. And then in 2011, my grandpa, who was the love of my life, died. And then that kind of sent me on a spiraling like whole journey where I took a weird gig being a host of a show called Twisted South with Jerry Lee Lewis's daughter and her husband, Zeke. And we went on a journey and I was like the host of this show that never came out, but we traipsed around the South. I landed in New Orleans for 5 minutes and spent like 6 months there managing my friend's restaurant. I was just kind of heartbroken and trying to figure out what I was doing, which then brought me to Door County, Wisconsin, where I live now.
Okay.
This is a long, I'm trying to make it short, but I'm having a hard time. There's a long roundabout of how I ended up a Wisconsin girl.
Right.
From LA to Door County. It wasn't just it wasn't a move like that. It wasn't just LA to Door County, you know, it was kind of like LA to Orlando, LA to Austin, New Orleans in there, a little Charleston, South Carolina. And then I had started coming to Door County in 2007 for Steelbridge Song Fest. And then I started coming back every year. And then they started putting on 3 events a year. And so the next thing I know, I was coming 3 times a year. And in 2012, I stayed here on a whim. I was supposed to go back home to LA and see if I was going to move back home and get a job and do whatever. And in a 2-day notice, I took a bartending job at the top of the peninsula up here where I had no reception and all my stuff lived in Austin, Texas. And I had a guitar and a suitcase from having just been at Steelbridge and took a job for the summer in Door County and had no cell phone reception and nobody knew where the hell I went. And I just kind of disappeared. And that was kind of how the solo career sort of died the first time.
Okay.
And I remember that summer, I was so happy that I was going to be somewhere where I look weird. And I was like, nobody's going to like me. I'm not going to date any guys. I'm just going to work, make money, and ride my bike. And so in Paradise, because it was Gordon Lodge, which is on the water and beautiful. And that's when I, what do they say? Life's what happens when you're busy making other plans. Or so my plan was, to not meet anybody. And that's when enter Stephen Cooper, who is definitely incredible. I'm going to call him a Wisconsin legend, whether everybody knows him or not. He's definitely a savant. He's an incredible saxophone player, tenor sax and singer. We met at Gordon Lodge, and that was the summer of 2012. And then we put together Wifee and the Huzz Band. Nice.
Excellent.
Which was a big horn band.
Yeah, I was going to say, I saw a little bit of when you were playing, I think it was a Harley stage, one of the videos that you have up.
Yep.
Small World, the trumpet player, Greg Garcia, who was in the horn section. I went to college with him.
Oh, wow. So you know how great he is.
Yes. Very, very excellent person and trumpet player for sure. So yeah, you definitely have some great musicians up there on that stage. I was watching that, listening, and you guys sounded great. Definitely a great coalition of different kind of genres put in together, but to make this really great sound that you guys have or had.
Yeah, Wifee was an incredible run. We're still trying to talk Coop into doing some reunion shows because everybody just loved that band. That was a very unique experience. Like I always tell people when I lived in Austin, that was kind of when I met like lots of famous people and made friends with a lot of like legendary musicians and things like that. But I mean, we were definitely not from Door County because those musicians and Wifey came from all over the state. But we had, because I lived here, we had so much support from Door County, and that was really the experience that got me like what it was, what it was like to play in front of huge crowds, and also just it was like that band could do no wrong. Just the next thing kept happening, and we had a great run. And those guys are all awesome. We had a rotating cast of incredible characters, and because I don't know if you know who Stephen Cooper is, but because he is so fantastic, I feel like he's got all those horn guys that are the best of the best, and everybody loved it. From the people in the band to I don't know, our crowds had like little kids to 80-year-olds. It was an awesome ride, and then we were able to use my connections from like the South to tour and go down to Austin and play the Continental Club and Sea Boys and the little off we never played in South by Southwest or Austin city limits, but there's always like very cool off shows going on that you don't need a wristband for, and so we did a lot of cool stuff.
So you told her that you're leaving. Well, how do I know that it's real this time? Golden lies ain't worth the grieving. Diamond promises ain't worth a dime. You've had your fun, now you're done taking my heart on a run. I'll take lonely if I can't be the only one. Ooh, I've been a fool to believe it was over. When you look at her, I know why your heart is taking so long. I'll give you tonight to think it all over. Then tell me I'm right or prove that I'm wrong. All those sweet lies you've been weaving, or building me up just to let me down. See, the worst part about cheating, it always comes on back around. You had your fun, now you're done taking my heart on a run. I'll take lonely if I can't be the only one. Ooh, I've been a fool was over. When you look at her, I know why your heart is taking so long. I'll give you tonight to think it all over. Then tell me I'm right or prove that I'm wrong. if I can't be the only one. I've been a fool to believe it was over. When you look at her, I know why your heart is taking so long. I'll give you tonight to think it all over. Then tell me I'm right to prove that I'm wrong. I've been a fool to believe it was over. When you look at her, I know why your heart is taking so long. I'll give you tonight to think it all over. Then tell me I'm right, prove that I'm wrong. Or tell me I'm right. Tell me I'm right, prove that I'm wrong. Or tell me I'm right. Please tell me I'm right. Prove that I'm wrong.
Hey, Wisconsin Music Podcast listeners. Are you looking to elevate your music with a personal touch? Let me introduce you to ZTF Studio, where your sound finds its true home. At ZTF Studio, we create more than just great recordings. We create an experience. Our cozy, home-based studio in Southeast Wisconsin is designed to make you feel comfortable and inspired. Imagine walking into a space where your music is treated with the same care and passion you put into it. With over 20 years of experience, we know how to bring out the best in your sound. Whether you're a solo artist or a full band, you'll get personalized attention and expert guidance every step of the way. We blend technical expertise with a warm, welcoming vibe to make your recording sessions enjoyable and productive. So, come on in, grab a cup of coffee, and let's make your next crowd pleaser together. Visit ztfstudio.com to book a conversation with Zach about your vision for your next project. ZTF Studio, where your sound feels at home. Now, back to our amazing guest.
So that's all it sounds like pre-pandemic. What's happening now with you post-pandemic?
So yeah, people always ask what I've done. It's like, well, it's not like I just disappeared since 2011. I'm just not a good multitasker. So I put all my eggs in the Wifee basket. I should have kept a solo career of some kind going. I see people that do that all the time, but I'm just not a multi-project person. It's hard for me to navigate life. I just have to focus on one thing at a time.
Right.
So Wifee broke up in 2019 officially. That was our last show. I did marry my husband, who was not from Wifee and the Huzz Band. I married him in 2016. So that was an interesting time, keeping the band going for a few years after I got married.
Yeah.
And so then 2020 came COVID, and my husband owns a very successful steakhouse supper club up in Door County.
Okay.
So I just kind of didn't get forced, but everybody was rebuilding life. So I was doing that. All of a sudden I was a restaurant manager and helping him put life back together, and just kind of getting lost in the shuffle, because for better or for worse, I mean, all I've done besides play music in my life is work in restaurants and bars, but I'm definitely not cut out to be anybody's restaurant manager. So, especially in a position that I can't get fired from, because when people are rude, guess who else is rude?
Right.
Me.
Right.
So that was not fun, but it's a beautiful place, and I love the restaurant, and I can't say enough good things about that. And the family, the legacy his family has built being in the restaurant business for the last 40 years. But luckily, his son just came home from New York and has degrees in all of that. And so that was kind of my time. It was like, this is a whole new landscape and world of music. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I know I was built for a stage. And I just kind of made a big commitment to myself that, however terrifying it seemed or not, I was going to figure this out as best I can. And also put myself back on some kind of a map of something, whatever that looks like. But in a few years, a lot can happen in 2 years. If somebody would have told me in 2006, when I was sitting alone in my Hollywood apartment feeling borderline suicidal and what the hell was I doing with my life, if somebody would have told me in 2 years from now you'll be playing a sold out show at the Troubadour, I would have never believed them. So I just kind of have that memory to ride on and the strength of that, and just say, I'm just going to see what I can do in the next couple of years, get my stuff organized, because I'm not a great business person. So there's some cobwebs to sort out, getting my Spotify organized, start getting some music that I have for years now released that's never been released. And I'm going to make myself my own legitimate package that I can feel good about, at least in terms of like having something visible that people can access. Because right now, if you were searching me at all before this, you probably noticed things seem a little wonky, and they are. So
yeah,
I want to get help sorting that out. So what I've done and my accolades and all the things and experiences are clear, and I'm making new ones and use, my connections from the past and see if I can start touring again, because that was what I was best at, making albums and touring. So whatever that looks like in today's world.
yeah,
Luckily at this point in my life, it's not like when I was in my 20s and like, oh my God, I got to make something out of this. I got to be a rock star. I got to blah, 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 blah. I don't have all that conversation anymore. So I have a nice life, but I also want to be doing what I was meant to be doing. So.
Right. Exactly. So what's in your head right now about your next recorded project? Maybe the listeners would like to know what may be coming through their speakers or their headphones in the near future.
Well, I have a whole album called Voodoo Queen that was never released. So I'm looking at some of the songs from that, if not the whole thing. And then also I did some recordings last spring with my boy Kyle Crusham in Austin, Texas. Kyle was just nominated for his first Grammy Award because he's like Paul Simon's like right-hand guy right now. So
nice.
Kyle's incredible, and I got to record with an incredible cast of characters with JJ Johnson on drums, who plays and tours with Gary Clark Jr., my girl Harmony Kelly, who tours with Kenny Chesney, she's the bass player, and this guy Anthony Farrell from a band called the Greyhounds. It's really badass. So we did kind of 4 songs. I'm looking at that and what I can use from that and what we want to do with that. And then working on putting a team together that can help me, because like I said, this is a very DIY world, and I was never part of a DIY world back when I was doing it.
Right.
So the learning curve is huge. I'm also very technologically challenged, so it's all pretty daunting and overwhelming. And also Wifee and the Huzz Band, it was like we just like got gigs. Like that was not a hard band to book and do stuff for. I was able to navigate that because everything just fell in our lap. Whereas being a singer-songwriter and a solo artist is completely different.
Right.
And sadly, I think I have music because I think I do rock hard enough that if I had a band name, I feel like it would have a bigger demographic. But I think something happens when it's like a female's name or maybe even a guy's name. I don't think it's like gender specific, but I think that it sort of outrules a little bit of a demographic, an audience. I don't know what the right word I'm looking for, but you automatically get deemed like a singer-songwriter, and nothing's wrong with that. But I just feel like I have a rock and roll show, like,
right.
But at this point in my life, I'm just going to be Ruby James. I'm not going to be a band just because I feel like in the short run, it would bring more people to shows or whatever. So I'm just trying to rebuild that, and something that I can, feel good about when I die.
No, that's excellent. I mean, there's a lot of musicians out there that don't know where they need to go or what they need to do to be what they consider successful, but it sounds like you're trying to plan that out for yourself and trying to decide which paths you're going to be taking as you go down this major change in, a new music career for yourself. Yep.
Trying to just rebuild it, or build a new one, whatever that looks like in today's landscape. And like I said, I don't feel like a Wisconsin artist because Wifee felt like it went so many more places than that. And I've never been a solo artist from Wisconsin. I'm from LA, I'm from Austin, I'm from Orlando, wherever I was touring all nationwide. I've played in Europe. Rosie Flores is a huge mentor and friend. We went to Europe. She's a rockabilly legend, an incredible guitar player. She never gets noted for how great of a guitar player she is. It's like an understated thing about her, but I get like giddy like a little schoolgirl when I watch her rip on guitar, and she's like 70. It's an incredible. I mean, she's like a forever teenager. She just gets up on stage and just rips. I don't know if you know who Rosie is, but
no, but I'm gonna check her out for sure.
Oh yeah, she's, I mean, one of the greatest. She's a legend. So I don't know. I love rockabilly. The thing with me that's hard is I feel like I'm really pretty versatile. Like when I lived in Austin, I loved to wear tutus and cowboy boots. And when I met Rosie, like that bop, the bop and pop of rockabilly just made me so excited. We used to have a Rosie Ruby review at the Continental Club every Tuesday night. And then I met Coop and got really into like the old soul stuff, and my voice really shines in that Ronnie Spector kind of tone. So that was just a very easy thing. And, you know, Little Steven's Underground Garage loved us, and we had like great run with them playing us. They still play us on there. And so I really shine with the soul stuff, but the rootsy bluesy rock and roll thing is my thing. So I don't know. I've been writing a lot this year with people that I've known from the past, some incredible songwriters, and I just need to get into the studio and start recording more and see where that's going.
Right. Yeah. That's amazing. This whole thing that you have gone through, your whole music journeys up to now, is just a very cool story. And I do truly mean that. It's just like, I get to talk to different people and to hear these experiences like you've had. It's just so cool, because some people just think, you know, you put something together and either you're going to get enough fans to get noticed and start rising above, you know, the cream level, or you just sit in a bar basically for the rest of your life playing music. But you've kind of like done a whole bunch of different things. And I think that's what makes musicians an interesting breed, is that you can go to different places and kind of be a different person on stage depending on where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of really cool, like epic, legendary shit. I just never became a legend.
Yeah, but you know, your life isn't over yet.
That's true.
Now, one of the questions I do ask is, if you could go back in time and talk to your younger self about music or anything else, what advice would you give yourself?
What advice would I give myself? Well, the one thing that I could just it really makes me mad at myself is that I let the solo career go that part go, and that I didn't stay with it, because when I was touring and coming up, I'm not going to really name names, but I like those people have, like, you know, that's 13 years ago that I pretty much dropped my solo career, and I did other things in that time, and I've been playing, but if I would have just kept some kind of presence and some kind of momentum with it, I would be so much further along. That part's hard. Plus I was never growing with the world. So it feels like I'm walking in like a foreign or alien trying to speak like Chinese and learn like the hardest language that's out there. As I'm trying to do this, it's so complicated, and I'm just like so artist brained. It's really, really hard to navigate all that. Luckily, I have good friends that are, you know, like I'm going to play next Friday. Well, by the time this comes out, it won't matter, but I'm playing next week with Brett Newski, who's a good friend, and he's willing to put me on some opening slots, but we'll see how it goes. I don't know that I'll be a great fit to open for Brett, but I'm so grateful because Brett is definitely like an epic. I feel like he's a legendary Wisconsin DIY musician. He knows everything. He does it all right. He's got his stuff totally legit, organized, and I mean, the guy's a machine. So I wish I would have never given up that solo part and at least kept making albums every once in a while and kept like promoting the things and learning how to do it all, because it just feels like daunting sometimes. But I made myself a commitment, and I'm just like, every time I want to quit and give up already, it's like, no, you said you were going to do this. So
right.
You're going to do this for the next 2 years and see what you can do.
Right. So if your mom asked you the question she asked you when you were a teenager, if you closed your eyes and could be whatever you wanted to be right now, so a solo artist is what your answer would be.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing that makes sense. It's not because I want to be a solo artist. I love bands. Like, I am a very powerful front person, but I also have a personality sometimes that wishes they were the bass player in the band. Just chilled in the background, just could show up to the gig, didn't have to do all the work and all the things, What would I be? I don't know if I would name who. I don't know if I could name who. I wish I could be Amy Winehouse without the drug problem, because I loved her so much and I still love her music. And to me, that sound is just still so freaking cool. But I wish that I could get back. I mean, I don't have any delusions of being Taylor Swift. Well, I really wouldn't want to be either, or Pink, let's say Pink at this time. But I wish I could be playing theaters, like full proper theaters. I think that would be pretty great. I'd love to play the Ryman Auditorium. I would love to play the Troubadour again. How do I get there?
Right.
I'm trying to figure out how to get there. And I keep telling everybody that tells me how hard this is. And people say stuff all the time. And mentally I have to work to keep myself up. And I love to tell people I'm the bumblebee, too fat to fly by design, but keeps flying and it's just going. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm just flying.
Gotcha. Is there anything else you want the listeners kind of know about? Or maybe even before you answer that, is there an artist out there that you just are really digging that might be kind of like underground or people don't really know about, but you would like to kind of spread the word about that person that's really influencing you right now, or really something that's really great for you to listen to?
On the spot question, like local or well known or anything?
Anything.
God, I don't know why this is the person popping in my head, but she's a Wisconsin artist, Tay and the Neighborly. She's ridiculously good. Do you know her?
I haven't heard of her.
I'm not listening to her because I don't listen to a ton of music. But Tay is brilliant and she's from Wisconsin, so you need to know her.
Okay.
And what am I listening to? Like lately, a friend of mine who's a great Wisconsin artist named Eric McFadden, I've kind of like mustered my way into his song. He was just nominated for a bunch of stuff with his song Memories, Don't Love You Back. So I do a duet with him on that record, and he's really good. But he turned me on to a band called Glorietta, which is not really touring, but that is an incredible album with, that's a super group. It's got, I think, Nathaniel Ratliff,
okay,
David Ramirez from Austin, Texas, and Adrian Casada, who is I would say, it boy producer right now that I wish I could get to. He's from, Adrian has a big band called the Black Pumas.
Oh yeah.
You know that band?
Yep.
And every time I go to Austin, because I've been going back there a lot to write with people, like friends from the past, there's so much music there that inspires me. I love to hear David Jimenez from Austin, Texas. He's incredible. There's just so much great sound. I love my trips to Nashville and to Austin to write right now, because there's so much good, inspiring music coming out of those rooms. And that's what I'm trying to get back to. I want to play and figure out Wisconsin, but I also want to get to my people down in Nashville and Austin and try to figure out how to break into those music scenes again.
Nice.
Yeah, I feel like there's more on the tip of my tongue. It's just not coming to mind right now.
That's okay. I mean, I just wanted to hear a couple, just kind of see where your musicality was kind of like branching out to. That was actually that line that you said, friends from the past. That might be a cool, like maybe a line in a song or a song title or even an album title.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that was kind of cool that you said that. Any last things for the listeners to know before I let you go for tonight?
I don't know. I think that's about it. I don't know when this is going to come out into the world, but
probably not till like late August, early September, probably.
Well, by then I'll have a website again, so they can go check out. I believe it's rubyjamesmusic.com, and hopefully my stuff will be a little more organized and I'll have more dates on the calendar. No point in naming the ones I have now, but I'm hoping to get down to Nashville in the fall for my first full band tour, which I would probably try to get, Nashville to Austin and somewhere down there.
Perfect. Do you want to give a shout out to your restaurant that your husband is running?
Sure. Donnie's Glidden Lodge Restaurant, Door County, Wisconsin. It's definitely the most beautiful property on the water. It's a 1930s stone building right on Lake Michigan. It's definitely the closest spot to a water line with like, you feel like you're in a boathouse. And his dad is Donnie, and that's my father-in-law. And Donnie has quite the legacy in the restaurant world in Wisconsin. They had a place called the Alaskan Supper Club for 18 years, and now they've had Donnie's for 26. This will be the 26th year.
Excellent. Well, Zoom's about to kick us off in probably like 20 seconds, but
all right.
Thank you so much for being on the Wisconsin Music Podcast. It was a pleasure talking to you, hearing about you, and just thank you so much for being on.
Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks again for tuning in to another episode of the Wisconsin Music Podcast. Once again, I'm Zach Fell, your host and creator of the Wisconsin Music Podcast, where I love to amplify the great sounds coming out of the Wisconsin state. We have great talent here, great support, great listeners. Thanks to Fox Cities Indie Radio for syndicating this on Thursdays and Sundays, along with their other great programming. So make sure you check out the Fox Cities Indie Radio. Thanks so much to our guest this week, Ruby James, for being on the show. She has 4 gigs coming up, one on September 11th, Beckett's with the Jazz Orgy in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, September 27th with the Seaboys Heart and Soul in Austin, Texas, September 28th, the Continental Club in Austin, Texas, and back here in Wisconsin on October 5th, grand opening of Taste Lounge in Bailey's Harbor, Wisconsin. So go check that out. For those of you who are new to our show, the Wisconsin Music Podcast is dedicated to showcasing the incredible talent of Wisconsin-based musicians and the thriving local music community. Our episodes drop every Tuesday on all streaming platforms and YouTube. Additionally, you can catch our episodes on Fox Cities Indie Radio every Thursday at 6 p.m. and Sunday at 3 p.m. If you'd like to be on the show, just go to wisconsinmusicpodcast.com, fill out the guest request form up at the top, ask for your email and your name, and then I'll send you an auto email asking you for more information. If you are enjoying these episodes, please consider donating to the Wisconsin Music Podcast. Donations help pay for the website and putting the podcast up on streaming services, and also getting our name out there to all Wisconsinites and others that are interested in our great music here in Wisconsin. Donations are secure through PayPal and Stripe. All you have to do is go to the website and click on Donate to WMP. You can also head over to our Instagram and Facebook pages and like us there. Leave some comments. Also go to the podcast review section of your podcast player and leave a 5-star review. Would be great. You can also head over to YouTube and watch the interviews and leave comments there as well. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week with another fantastic episode on the Wisconsin Music Podcast.